All right, well, I am very excited for your new album. It's almost here. Tell me a little bit about how you would describe it.
I would describe this record as on the one hand, it's a really singer-songwriter record because it's quite acoustic, and on the other side, it's extremely melodic. It's very pop. So it's kind of like, it is very inspired by pop music from the 1970s that was piano-driven, where you can tell all the ingredients that have gone into the production really kind of like quickly. But even when I do something that's a little bit more stripped down or acoustic, it still has melody as the most important thing, and it's still definitely pop, because that's really what I do. I think that I didn't want to do something that was electronic sounding. And because I'm an artist that is definitely within the kind of like classic pop tradition, I don't have any R&B influences and not really any soul influences. I came from classical music, but I always wanted to make pop music. And you can hear that on my records. There's a classicism to it.
I remember I interviewed you on the phone for your second album, The Boy Who Knew Too Much, and you were comparing your albums kind of to like stages in life a little bit. What would this one be? This one seems I've listened to all of it, I love it, very open and honest.
I think albums are like a good reflection of where you are, especially because I write my own records and I co-produce them, and so they're like I try to capture what I've done in my life and who I am during that 2-year or 3-year period. The first one was about my childhood life in cartoon motion. The second one was kind of more of an adolescence. The third one was a complete and utter breakage. I wanted to protect myself. I was going through a lot of very difficult things. And now this fourth one is extremely open. The defenses are completely down. There's nothing that is kind of scary to me. Even in the questions that people can ask me, they can be extremely direct, and the answers they'll get back will be very candid. And you hear that sense of honesty and that sense of kind of realizing that as you grow older, I'm 31 now.
Me too.
And when I started, I was 22. Actually, my first job was at the age of 11. I think after the age of 30, you realize that it's not worth being complexed. It's not worth kind of building kind of fortresses in your mind. You just have to completely let your guard down and stay playful. It takes a very serious person and a very courageous person to be playful as you get older. When I started writing the record, I started off with a song called Good Guys. And
it's my favorite.
And Good Guys is still my favorite song on the record. And it was the first one I wrote, and it poses the question, where are all the people that inspired me so much in my life? All these icons when I was a teenager, where are they? All these kind of terribly behaved, kind of iconic people from, I don't know, from James Dean to Warhol to Auden to just people from art and literature. Anyway, I was kind of trying to shake up those people within me and dare to write for myself again, as opposed to worrying about the consequences of what I was writing. And it opens up with the lyric, "It's not the cowboys that are missing anymore." That problem was already old in '94, which is about the song "Where Have All the Cowboys Gone?"
Polycole.
And then by Polycole, and then it goes, "Don't be offended, this might seem a little wrong, but tell me, where have all the gay guys gone?"
I know one of the tracks on your album is an homage to one of your idols, Freddie Mercury. Tell me a little bit about that song.
One of the songs talks about Freddie Mercury in quite a specific time in his life. When he found out that he was HIV positive and that he had AIDS, his response was to lock himself up in a club, and he had this crazy, legendary party that lasted, some people say hours, some people say days.
Wow.
Whatever the reality of that story is, it did happen in one way or another, and it just got me thinking about how we react to those kind of pieces of life-changing news. And so I wrote this song called "The Last Party," which is an homage to him, and it's produced in a way where it's actually one of the most classical things I've ever done. It has an orchestra on it, it has harpsichord. It goes from being an art ballad to an Elton John torch song to something that you would hear on a Black Eyed Peas record. It's very strange. It shouldn't work, but it does, and it's very moving when you hear it. I sent it out to Roger Taylor and to Brian May to get the approval, because it was important to me if I was going to talk about something so serious within the life, the story of the collaborator, they had to kind of sign off on it, and luckily they did, and they loved the song. I haven't been touring for about almost 2 years now. I've been doing interesting shows around the world, like I did a mini residency with the Symphonic Orchestra of Montreal in their concert hall, which was an incredible experience, and things like that. But as a tour with my band, I haven't done a lot in quite a while, and I've started off with this little mini tour that started in New York 2 nights and then is now in LA, and then we go to Asia next week, and we do one of my biggest shows in Asia that I've ever done, which will be the Olympic Hall in Seoul. So it's kicking off to quite an intense year, but at the same time, I couldn't choose a better place to start, because for some reason in America, the reactions that I get at these shows, it's just like, it's fireworks. I think that I'm very aware that I'm not really part of like the mainstream in America. My songs have they have moments when they go into serious kind of like major exposure pop culture and stuff, but at the same time, I've never, as a person or as an artist, been someone who's been constantly present, which means that my repertoire has always kept its the gunpowder's dry. And when people come to the shows, they go crazy. It's just like, it's almost cathartic. They lose their minds. And for me, it's really satisfying. That said, the most important country for me and my music is America, because of all the stuff that gets synced in TV and movies. And TV and movies for me have been an enormous window to the world for my music. Just this year now, we've got the first song that's synced and that's sung in the new Pitch Perfect movie is one of my songs.
That's amazing.
And
which one is it?
I'm not allowed to say yet. And also we've got Paul Feig's new movie with Melissa McCarthy has a major sync of one of my songs as well, which is a song that's in French, but he's put that on there. And there's another fashion-inspired American kind of big production movie, which I'm not even allowed to talk about, but that comes out next year, and that has one of my songs as well as the main sync. A MIKA show in 2015 is still as unpredictable as a MIKA show in any other year. I mean, I've done everything from fireworks on stage to doing half a show with just one light bulb and seeing how that would react. And people go crazy because, their eyes are just focused on one thing the whole time. I love working in extremes. This show and this set is inspired by the Talk About You video, which is the first single. And so it's like a whole cityscape, and it's really naive on the one hand, and on the other hand, it looks really artistic and beautiful. You're like stepping into a painting from like the 1950s in Italy or something. And I like to transport people. I like to transport myself, and in doing so, my audience. I've got to be honest, more and more my shows are not traditional kind of pop or rock shows. And increasingly, they've been evolving into something that resembles a show. I wouldn't say a piece of Broadway theater, but definitely a piece of show, a piece of theater. So I think the inevitable next step is for me to write a show. And so that's what I'm focusing on next year.